Hello, can you hear me well? At the back? Yes, good, thank you. So good afternoon, it's a pleasure to be here with you. During this track, we're gonna share, in this eSports track, we're gonna share trends, business models, and also some insights on how we see the industry and how we see the what we call the new fun. So let me start with the panel. We have a beautiful panel this afternoon. First, Marcos, who's the co-founder and CCO of MadLions. Then we'll introduce each one of the companies. Ignacio Arrola, marketing and commercial director of Mediapro, and then Iván Murillo, who's connected car manager from Porsche. Myself, I'm the head of sports for Microsoft. And before we start the panel, I want to share a couple of insights on the industry, right? I want to share a few market trends and also make this as much as possible, as much interactive as possible. So let me ask you one question. Who in the room, if you can raise your hand, are close to eSports or are doing something with eSports? So probably 40% or so. Good. Okay. So let me start by sharing, the industry. This is the gaming industry. Esports is part of this. And just to put this in perspective, the gaming is a $150 billion industry. It's as big as the traditional sports business. So when you consider clubs, leagues, and federations in traditional business, they're making exactly the same revenue of gaming. As I said before, esports is part of gaming, and I'll get there. And you can see the dominance in this market from China and the US with close to 50%. Now, if we zoom in into esports, you can see that in terms of value, this is an industry of close to 2 billion, right? It's getting closer and closer to 2 billion. Now, the interesting thing here is how fast this is growing. And I didn't mention before, but gaming industry is tripling the GDP growth on a global basis, where you can see here, yes, this is more or less doubling every 3 years. So it's about 20%. And you can see that North America is one of the most mature markets around the world. In our case, Microsoft, I won't talk much or anything about Microsoft, but for those who are interested, we are helping the ecosystem in gaming and in sports in different areas. One, the most probably well-known is Xbox. So tournaments that are played with our consoles, some titles as well. The other thing that we do a lot is with our cloud. We enable companies and partners, to develop their solutions. We have also recently launched, a few years ago, but quite recently, the Mixer, which is a video streaming platform. And finally, literally a few months ago, we purchased PlayFab, which is a gaming platform. But getting back to esports, again, this is a beautiful ecosystem. And something that I would like to ask the panel here is, where is the opportunity? And we'll cover that because, from a revenue standpoint, it's not that big. But when you take a look at the total audience, right? So in terms of people, it's close to 500 million people, okay? 500 million people. Now, something to spark the attention here is, do you know these two guys? So two sportsmen. Who's the one on your left? Djokovic. Yes. The other one? Winner of? Yes, the Fortnite. You see, he's half the age of Novak Djokovic, and he's making the same money. And they are getting these rewards and these earnings because there are literally millions and millions of people watching and following sports. Now, if I ask you who's the most followed player, across the globe, which in social media, who's the most followed? Ronaldo, yes, but he's not. Yes, so there is a professional esports player back there. Yeah, so it's Ninja Blevins. As you can see, more than 150 million interactions on social media. He's a professional gamer, but also a YouTuber, and he's certainly an influencer and very active in social media. And the last one that I want to share, this is not a quiz because I see different ages here, but I remember this tour, Rod Stewart. He did a tour around the world. I was born in Argentina, he was in Buenos Aires, but the record was not in Buenos Aires, it was in Brazil. And in Brazil, he had 3.5 million people, the highest record ever in human history in a concert, 3.5 million people attending there. That was true until February 2019, where we had Marshmello. 10 million people attending the concert in 4 nights. So with that, let me move to the panelists. Thanks for being with us today. I hope I broke the ice already. So the first question is to Marcos. So Marcos, please, if you want to introduce your company, and we have a video, right? So help me with that. Don't need to dance, but if you want to share about your company and why eSports for MadLions.
Well, eSports, I think it is much more than numbers. You've shared that already, and it is a lot about passion. It is a lot about fans. It is a lot about competition, entertainment, good moments, bad moments as well, of course. I think it is pretty much what you could relate to if you're, let's say, legacy, traditional sports fan. And we can, of course, discuss about this. We are MadLions. We are an esports club. It is like Real Madrid, Barça, Atletico, Rayo. I don't want to get into fights with this, of course. But we have pretty much what you have, the rest of the people with traditional sports clubs. We've got players under contract, image rights, sports psychologists, nutrition experts, managers, coaches, data scientists, all those things. This is MadLions. We've got operations in Spain, well, let's say Europe, Latin America as well, and I think that is the most important thing. Why we are here in esports? Because it is where fans are, where the audience is, especially a specific range in terms of age. We are entertainment as well as sports. And why we're here? Because we think there is a way to make fans be proud of and make a business out of as well.
Very good, thank you. Ignacio, Mediapro. So would you like to, do we have a video? No?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, really, I don't know. I think we have a video.
Okay, yes, I think so. So if we can switch, please.
Descubre Ubit, la plataforma de contenidos sobre eSports y el universo gaming. Con lo mejor de la liga de videojuegos profesional, competiciones en directo y una programación original de lujo. El Aspirante, eNews, Casuals Club, Hoy no se sale, el programa de Iván Llanos y Capo 013 que lo está petando. Y Mastercaster, un reality para encontrar a los futuros casters de los eSports. Entra en ubit.tv o descárgate la app de iOS y Android.
Very good. So welcome, and if you want to introduce a company, it's a big holding, but maybe if you want to center around sports, esports, and why you are in this business.
Okay, thank you, Sebas, and thank you everybody for to choose the season of the afternoon. Mediapro is a well-known company on this business, on the football business, but we are on the eSport because the figures. At the end, you are not because the figures, but we are because the figures. We work with probably the most important property of the world, that is football. Everybody plays football, everybody knows about football, everybody consumes football, but I will look the trend of the audience, how the new generation are consuming the rest of the content. We saw from 5 or 10 years ago that it's not everybody who was consuming football or other sports, basketball or the main sports around the world is still consuming this kind of content during the next generation. So we saw that probably sport is going to be a successful or a mainstream sport entertainment, and we decided to invest in this industry. The main areas of our eSports department is related, one with the LVP. The LVP is the, probably most of you know then, is La Liga de Videojuegos Profesionales. We launched in Spain 3 years ago, and then in the last season we have launched also in UK, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Peru, and Mexico. And then we acquired the 50% of the share during this first quarter of the year. So we are now the owners of the LBP, and we have an ambitious project of them. Then we started after we closed the investment in the game. We think there is 2 more movements necessary. One is to be involucrated in the publishers area. So we bought the bridge. There is a studio and a gaming studio that we have launched our first game a couple of weeks ago with La Liga. That is a card game. And then if we think that we can be at the beginning creating the games, then creating the competition with the teams, I think that the next step is to be on where is our specialist is in broadcasting the content, no? To be involucrated on the media rights and to try to convert the eSport in a mainstream, in something that is going to be mainstream. So we launched Ubit. Ubit, probably we can talk later what is. That is a channel and an OTT. And if somebody asks me what would you like to do with Ubit in 3 or 4 years, I would like to say that it's the competition of Twitch.
Okay. So new generations, it's figures and also eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Iván, if you want to introduce your company and why you are in sports.
Sure. So Porsche is a car manufacturer, as everybody knows, but it's also a motorsport team. We have won over 30,000 races in 70 years, 19 times winners of Le Mans, 3 in a row, and we are related to a sport from our very beginning. This is really our soul. So, in the other hand, we have also a long relationship with video games. And after all these years, we have a brand strategy in the long term, maybe for the next 20 to 25 years. And we have chosen 2 areas to develop this branding strategy. One is eSport, and the other one is Formula E. I don't know if everybody knows about Formula Electric. It's only 3 years old, and we are starting with Formula E next November, in 2 months. Our plan is to develop a strategy, a long-term strategy, facing young people and creating a brand image to them through eSports and sports to make our company still important in 10 years and 20 years to
Right.
people under 20 today.
Very good. So it's also about new generations. It's about branding, positioning, and investing. Probably Horizon 3, I would say, 2 and 3. So, talking about horizons, and one of the questions, in the market there is a belief that there is only a few organizations making money out of this, profiting from esports. These are the top gamers, as we have seen. A few on the screen, but also game studios, game developers. So, a question for you: where do you see the business opportunities and monetization opportunities in sports? And maybe if you want to start with Marcos.
Well, I would say making money is still a challenge for the industry, not just clubs, except for players. The rest of the people in the value chain are still struggling to make money. But I guess it is kind of the same thing for traditional sports clubs, except for some exceptions. Most of them, they are still struggling, or they struggled in the past to make money. We've got a business model that is under definition, I would say. What esports used to be in the past is not what it is today. And when I'm speaking about the past, I'm referring to 2 years ago. And I'm sure in 2 years' time, business model for esports is going to be completely different.
Right.
Related to what is it today. I think we've got a mix of many different ingredients that are there, and we should when we speak about ingredients, I would refer to video games as a business model itself, music, live events, YouTube as a business model in itself, influencers. So it is a mix of business models. With what we've got at OEM, Overactive Media, that is the owner as of today for some months already, very few months already, of MadLions. Overactive Media is a Canadian company. The whole group owns a number of properties in terms of brands that are known by the audience. And in addition to that, we've got a set of building capabilities, building blocks that are necessary to make more complex, more things that are interesting to brands, so they can relate to us and they can achieve what they're looking for, that is reaching this audience, this millennials, Gen Z, or whatever, right? So we are a set of capabilities, building blocks. That is our business model as of today, and we range them from talent, so it is a talent business, to digital assets, channels, platforms, merchandise, and even ticketing as part of our recipe for the not that far away future.
Very good. Thank you, Marcos. In your case, Ignacio, Mediapro,
Well,
business model, how are you making money? What's your business here,
Well,
and what's the impact? Because in some cases, like Porsche, it's not about probably not making money, but more the positioning stuff that we talked before. So in the case of Mediapro, it's about broadcasting, revenue, advertisement, or?
No, in the case of Mediapro, there is their own business has to own their own money. So LVP has their own business and is running very well, because I would like to compare or to share, because this is the football semi, if we compare the eSports industry with the football industry, or even with the entertainment industry, the split of the revenues is not very similar. You saw your figure, I think it's the slide 3 or slide 4, when you saw how is the growing of the revenues year by year. You saw that the big difference is at the bottom of the or at the beginning of each row, and from the last row was 1.8 billion
Yes.
per year, and 1.5 came from big box, that is media rights, branding, and advertising.
Yeah.
And only 10% goes to the publisher. So there is no, it's for sure there is a huge amount of money because there is only 2 or 3 super big competitors who has like a monopoly who earn all the money.
Yeah.
But the other less 10% is from the ticketing. So if we compare with the budget of, I don't know, Real Madrid, Barcelona, but even of the small clubs, you know that this figure is completely, not completely different, but very similar in the small clubs. That all the money came from audiovisual rights, then from marketing, advertising, and then for ticketing and others. So
Yes.
there is somebody who is around the business, not like if UEFA, FIFA, or business like that, we're involucrated on your business. So for me, in my opinion, this is the main different with if we compare with the football. We compare with the entertainment industry, the picture will be very similar to them. I mean, you are a super studio. The biggest amount of money comes from media rights or ticketing, because it's your movie, and then probably from advertising and nothing from the rest, no? So when we decided to start in this business, LVP has their own business and is still growing. We think that probably if we invest more money on media rights, probably the business will grow. Because at the end now, but everybody's on Twitch because you need Twitch because everybody, or we have sold the rights or something or the advertising to a brand. So the brand is going to ask a CPN or something that they can say, hey, do we have 10 millions, 50 millions of views on Twitch? But at the end, nobody knows who is the ROI of that investment. So at the end, you need something, and everybody's giving the right for free, no? So at the end, nobody knows how the business is working because everybody needs the money. The movie needs to move the business, but the business came from the advertising and from the sponsoring, who at the end nobody really knows how much people is watching you and what kind of people is watching you. We think, no, it's true. For sure, it's new audience, and people, when people talk about something, it's because they are watching them, no? So that's something that, in my opinion, is good to introduce in the conversation. Where is the money from media rights? It's possible to get more incomes from advertising or from sponsoring. If you are Porsche, somebody's going, you can be the main sponsor of MadLions. Why? What is my ROI, no?
Very good.
I'll be happy with that.
Okay.
So, please, at the back,
Commission,
when you need to place the mic as close as your mouth as possible, so the audience at the back can hear you. So, in your case, Iván,
Yeah. Well, I have to say that Porsche is always expecting to make money somehow, sooner or later. No, but today, I think this is just investing. And I think if you are investing in long-term branding, you have in mind sponsoring, advertising, and maybe partner with some of the agents in this ecosystem. Figures and making money is not only year after year, how is money coming in and money going out. In terms of branding, you can measure a few things. And I think that is not easy to measure today. I think the ecosystem has to develop a little bit, and we need to find business models to measure in the long term. But for instance, for Porsche, and I can give you the real thing we are deciding to go into this ecosystem, is the cost of the opportunity of investing today to create a branding issue in the next 5-10 years is still so low that the investment is really productive compared, for instance, to football, where you have to invest millions and millions to become a sponsor to create your own competition or engage with the famous players, compared with today in the eSports.
Right.
So for us, this investment has all the meaning today.
Yeah. So, Marcos, you want to add something on this?
Yeah. Well, of course, this is a business, and that is important. And Overactive Media has invested already kind of 70 million, 70. I mean, I'm mistaken already because these numbers are so big. $70 million in franchises. So we're here for the long run. Of course, we're not going to break even next year for this. but that is a business. We wouldn't be here if there wasn't for the long run trying to make business. And I would say it is an interesting comment on your side saying, well, it's still difficult to prove or to measure what is the impact of what's going on esports, right? But I would say it should be just the opposite. It is far easier to measure now than TV. Come on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
GRPs?
Yeah, but
Come on, guys. Other completely different thing is that the whole industry is used to that. But it is far easier to measure now the whole life cycle.
I fully agree.
And what I feel, my personal feeling is that with esports, I know you don't agree, but I don't care. With esports, we are kind of the same situation with digital marketing at the beginning of the 2000s. When everybody had a feeling of, oh yeah, that should be interesting, and few people were believing, and now it is kind of the situation in which most of the budget, so people putting their mouth where their words are, budget is more on digital.
So Marcos, what about the future, 5 years ahead? Where do you see MadLions?
Okay, so I'm reading something because I think I was able to compel a nice vision for 5 years, so I'm reading it right away, and after that I'm elaborating a bit. So one of the MadLions, as part of Overactive Media, MadLions is to be one of the contending or even leading entertainment fully fledged Spanish-speaking brands offering a comprehensive portfolio of complementary products and services to accompany our audience throughout their journey along with our partners. And I think this pretty much defines our vision towards future. And I would say this has to happen in a way we don't need to talk anymore about Twitch. We love Twitch, of course, as well as we love YouTube, as well as we love Ubit. Yeah. But we still need to explain what is that.
Right.
How many of you knew he's not in the room? How many of you knew Ubit before today? Fair enough. So the point is, this is good actually. The point is, what is going to happen in less than 5 years' time? You're looking at me? This happen next year. When esports is prime time on TV. This is going to make a massive change in the industry and in the whole market. I mean, when conversations change, thanks God, from football, to League of Legends, Clash Royale, FIFA. Why not? That is football as well. And you'll say, no, that is not esports. You don't want to discuss about what is sports or esports as of today. You don't. What is the audience? And what is the definition for traditional sports? Are we still having the same definition as with the Greeks? So I think this is going to happen much sooner than later. We are not going to wait for 5 years to know what is mass market impact of esports. And I think this is going to happen, and MadLions is going to be part of that, especially in the Spanish-speaking footprint.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you, Marcos. So Ubits, you have shared, in the video what is Ubits. Can you share some insights of, fans' behavior and what are the results so far?
Yes, but let me just a couple of minutes to answer to my colleague.
No, we want to open up also some questions to the audience so they can...
No, they can hit for me. It's good, great. Two questions. The first question is the question regarding the question of where are going to be in 5 years.
Yes.
Don't look at this man. Look at this man, for sure.
It's both. You are part of the ecosystem, right?
Yeah, I'm part of the ecosystem. I'm part of Mediapro is part of the ecosystem. And when you tell that and disagree with you, it's not true. I think we need something to measure everybody, to measure your investment. That's one of the reasons that we create UBIT, because if you got the data, you had the information, and I can not go to you. Probably I go directly to Porsche. I know how many people is watching MadLions, how
Right.
many and another team. So I want to have and to get the information directly from the consumer. So UBIT is a big project. We started at the beginning of the year. In February we launched it, and we started like an OTT. So it's an OTT. OTT is the word to use, like HBO, Netflix, or Bing Connect. That is the business model for now is for free. Probably in 1 year is going to be probably we have some money in order to create like a freemium pass. It's also not an OTT. It's also an 24 hours, 7 days per week channel. So we have contents basis and focus on live content of the competition. We have the most important competition in not obviously the LVP in each country, but we are also buying contents to other competition, and we stream live during the whole day. We have an agreement with the main operators. The biggest operator of Spain is going to sign next week, but I can advance. It's not signed, but it's closed at everything. And we have closed also in Latin America. And the OTT, we have the same content than in the linear channel, but we have creating specific content just and producing content specific for mobile. So the content is shorter, probably is more shorter. The average length of the video is between 3 and 5 minutes. So it's video that you can consume 2, 3 videos, 4 videos per day. One of them is Hoy No Se Sale, who is made by the caster Ibérica. That is successful. We are creating producing one late night every week, and when he's one of the main boss of the eSports. When he publishes something on Twitter, there is thousands of people watching live the program. So, and just regarding your question, the figures from the beginning now, and we are in a soft launch because we want to test what kind of content people want and the new audience want to watch. If we need to create more focus on teams, more focus on women, so to create an news and specific program. We launched last Monday a talent master about who wants to be the next Iván, the next caster of the eSports. And from the beginning, just in Spain, 700,000 people have downloaded the app. With a low marketing campaign. So it's people who are on the business or who are interested in this kind of content. So I mean, there is no paying download. It's a no marketing campaign to paying for the download, and the average is around 1.5 million videos per month. So we are very, very, very happy.
Okay, thank you. So Iván, you launched the Porsche eSports World Cup. So what can you tell us and any insights of that project?
Yeah, the Porsche Super Cup on eSports is our own competition.
Yes.
We developed it early this year with our partner iRacing. And you can choose between 80 cars, Porsche cars, competition cars, 80 racetracks. And we invite, it's a worldwide competition, we invite players, gamers from everywhere in the world. And we have, I think, overall prize of $100,000 for the winners.
Okay.
And
so they can purchase, your cars afterwards.
Yeah, that's the reason. And the point is, we make events at the same day of the race day. So, for instance, a couple of weeks ago it was Laguna Seca racetrack GP. So we make the same eSport GP. So you can feel the emotion of the live eSport and the entertainment eSport show playing. And in 5 years' time, I expect to keep on investing. But the point is, Porsche is a great brand, but it's really a small company. Just to give you an idea of how small we are, we are selling only 3,000 cars in Spain a year, when the market in Spain is over 1.5 million or something.
Right.
So we really are 0.0000 something, but still we need to invest in our branding in the future.
Right.
And so I expect to keep on investing in the ecosystem in Spain in the next 5 years. and growing with this entertainment industry and keep on playing with players, gamers, and competitions, and make branding through these guys here.
Thank you, Iván. So we have a few minutes for a couple of questions. I don't know if you have a question, please. Don't be shy. Any question? Yes.
There's a question for Marcos. Running like an esports team, is it more difficult that you have to take into account like the trends of which games are popular at a given time, and like thus also like factoring that into offering like how long your contracts would be? Because if you run a football club, like they're going to be playing football the whole time. But if you sign like a big player of a game and then maybe like 2 years later the game's not as popular, like does that factor a lot into your decisions?
Yeah, thank you for the question. That affects a lot. In fact, we've already taken decisions of discontinuing operations in some games because we think the word is not profitable, but profitability is the closest to the concept. This is a very, very fast moving environment. I'm sure most of you have heard about Apex. It has been a contending game, contender to Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, all this. Apex been here for some weeks. It is not that here anymore. So we have to take very, very fast decisions. And it is based on the audience, and also we have to take into account our responsibility. And I guess a lot of people, maybe not in the room, but a lot of people think video games, and that is related to many stupid things, but are evil, and they don't do good to people, and it is not socially responsible and all that, but it is not precisely that. It is just the opposite. We've got people that we have to care for, their talent. We've been the first eSports club in Europe signing a strategic agreement with a university, and we are making sure that the people that are working with us are able to study a university degree, and they've got the program adapted to their competitions. And other people are doing that already. So we have to take that into account, because we just don't want to, I'm going to use a technical term for that, we don't want to fuck up with people's lives. Right? So we have to be responsible for that. We have to care for people that are building up their career and are associating their brand names to ours. And of course, we have to be always listening and take decisions, making sure that we are serving properly our audience, but that we are doing it in a responsible manner. So compared to a, let's say, traditional club, that is in football and basketball, handball, softball, whatever. Yeah, there is a dynamic that is asking us to be super fast, super flexible, but we have to care for trends that are not just trends without. Taking decisions that are not good for the industry in the medium long term.
Hi. We know that there is a big discussion if the esports are sports or not, but anyway, we are seeing doping cases in the esports players. What kind of things, what kind of tools are you putting into action to prevent like this that obviously put into a big risk the health of the players? Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, we've got sports psychologists, we've got personal trainers, nutritionists, and we do take care of the health of our people. They make gym mandatorily, even when they want or they don't want, and I can assure you that happens. So we make sure that they are healthy. In terms of doping, we all know that happens as well as any other sports, and there are organizations that are taking care of that, and we are also taking care of that, and we know of cases, and decisions are taken.
Very good. Anyone else? please, yeah, one more, last one.
So this is for everyone, but I guess that more focus for Ignacio. It's how a company like yours, where you've been very used to traditional media, swifts and changes to adapt to something like esports that was born and breathes and lives online, and it's it depends a lot of content creation by the community. It's more how do you guys control that?
Well, I disagree with you that Mediapro is a traditional company because at the end, when we were shown to our past, the wrestling past, we launched Goal Stadium. The first there was OTT, when nobody knows what is Netflix, and Goal Stadium is the first OTT in Europe. So we think that the people is going to watch and to consume our contents whatever they want. And what kind of content they are going to consume is something that we are worried about that. But we know, for example, the first global agreement of One Sports, we closed with YouTube, but nobody believes that YouTube is going to pay for nothing. So at the end, everybody thinks that YouTube is for USC, so videos with little cuts, and we saw, and now 4 billions, I'd like to tell in English, 4 billion videos of La Liga are watching every year. So at the end, we think that the people is going to consume contents, but they like to consume good content. It's true that on the eSport ecosystem, most of the videos that people like to watch, the new audience is peoples of games or people or to watch people play them. Sure, because at the end you know how to make the streak or how to pass at the next level, and it's a video that you can compete with them, except that you are offering them or broadcasting them the live competition. So that's the reason that I told you that we are making a lot of tests during this first 8 months of the year, because we want to test that if we produce and we put money on the content, at the end we are not spending millions. Well, probably all the investment in content in this area is going to be more with six figures, but we are starting with, it's possible to create a daily magazine talking about gaming. And what do you prefer, to watch in a USA video, make that you can find thousands of people on YouTube doing, or you prefer to hire somebody who is well-known or is an influencer and try to make in a studio a good video? That's something that we want to test. Somebody, the USC is better than you, because at the end, it's people with a lot of talent, and you cannot hire thousands of copywriters in order to get new content every day. But if you can create in a factory to have 2 or 3 new videos every day, or almost 5 per week, it's a way to develop. And so at the end, we are always thinking what the people want to do, but we are not just making an sports. I saw yesterday, closing the budget, that we have made 34 series during this year, and this is making for Amazon Prime, Netflix, DirecTV. So at the end, we are not, obviously, we are selling series to Antena 3 or to Mediaset or one company like that, but we are creating content, and we have to think on eSports like a content. It's a different kind of content. eSports is a content, and eSports is another kind of content.
Having people like Mediapro in the environment is nothing but a great news for us, for the industry, and we cannot be thankful enough for the participation here. And I think linear TV, linear content will be mixed somehow, and it has been mixed somehow already with non-linear, and platforms are going to mesh even more. So Twitch and the YouTubes of the world are the reference for these people. So they make investment based on information, and on the other side as well.
Thank you so much, Marcos, Ignacio, Iván. Please give them a big round of applause.